One of the long-term consequences of the Arab Spring has been the breakdown of conventional armies in a number of Arab states, Iraq, Libya, Yemen, Syria. So what we're really seeing is the rise of militias, militias that are tied to ethnic or tribal or communal groups, while militaries that have been tied to the state have broken down or collapsed. And this presents a quandary for governments in the region and also for the United States. How do you reconstruct militaries in these countries, especially when you've got terrorist threats brewing from the Islamic State, Al-Qaeda? In many cases, these militias are well positioned to go after those threats. In at least 2 states in the region, there have been these projects to create what's called national guards, meaning you take these local or provincial or tribal militias and you sort of fold them under a national command structure. You try to formalize them, you try to regularize them. In both cases, these projects have failed. But that doesn't mean that they're not without value. What we have to look at is how did the states go about implementing these National Guard programs. And what we find is that in many cases they didn't take into account certain political realities, namely that the old military institutions, the old officer class, opposed these initiatives. They saw the militias and the National Guard as a challenge to their authority. So a key conclusion from this is that building National Guards or attempting to integrate militias into this larger structure has to be accompanied by broader political reconciliation and also security sector reforms. I think what we're seeing in a number of Arab states post-Arab Spring is that the old social compact or the old ruling bargain, which was heavily centralized, in other words, power was concentrated in the capital, that's broken down. And so we're looking at a number of federal arrangements where power is being dispersed down to the local level, to the provincial level. And that means that security is being handled by local actors. So in that sense, I think the National Guard strategy can be a pressure release. It can sort of push power down to the local level. It can aid in federal arrangements if states decide to go down that route. But again, the key thing is it has to be accompanied by a political track. I mean, you can't just say we're going to push the security down to the local level. You need constitutional arrangements that formalize this. You need to have some sort of overarching command authority. But I think the National Guards can be a useful corrective to past practices that have been overly centralized, where power was concentrated in the hands of just a few.